All right, everybody, welcome back to another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be talking about a book that I think a lot of you have probably heard of, at least.
Yeah, I think so.
It's called The Compound Effect, and it's by Darren Hardy.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of this one.
So have you read it or just kind of familiar with?
I've definitely heard the main ideas, yeah.
Okay, cool, cool. So for everybody listening, we're really excited about this deep dive because this book, it's kind of like one of those foundational personal development books that really lays out some principles that I think everybody should know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just that core idea, even if you're not super into like self-help stuff, everybody's heard of the compound effect in some way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like even if they haven't heard the term, specifically the idea of like small actions over time creating big results. I mean, everybody kind of gets that, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, like even just thinking about like investing or something, right? You put in a little bit of money consistently over time and suddenly it like snowballs into this huge thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even something like fitness, right? Like you're not going to get ripped by just going to the gym once. You got to be consistent with it.
Yeah, exactly. Consistency is key, right? And that's really what this book is all about.
Yeah. So the compound effect basically takes that idea and applies it to like every area of life, not just finances.
Right. It's like it takes a principle we usually only think about with money and says, hey, this actually works for your relationships, your career, your health, everything.
Exactly. So we're going to dive into some of the key takeaways from the book and talk about how we can apply them in our own lives to achieve our goals, whatever those goals might be.
Sounds good. I'm excited to dig in.
So one of the first things the book talks about is the power of choices.
Okay. Yeah.
And it uses this really powerful line that I think is worth repeating. It says, choices are at the root of every one of your results.
That's a good one.
I know, right? It's so simple, but so profound when you really think about it.
Yeah, it's like it's easy to blame our circumstances or other people for where we are in life.
Right, or bad luck.
But ultimately, it all comes back to the choices we make every single day.
Yeah, and those choices, they might seem small and insignificant in the moment.
Totally. Like whether you hit snooze or get out of bed when your alarm goes off or, grab a donut or a smoothie for breakfast.
Right. It doesn't seem like a big deal, right? Like, who cares if I have a donut today?
But those small choices, they add up over time.
Exactly. And they create the results we see in our lives.
And this is where habits come in.
Yeah, habits, they're basically just choices that we've repeated enough times that they become automatic.
Right. It's like you're creating a groove in your brain. The more you do something, the deeper that groove gets and the easier it becomes to just keep doing it.
Yeah, so if you're constantly making bad choices like hitting snooze or eating junk food, you're essentially wiring your brain to keep doing those things.
Exactly. And that's how bad habits form. And the bad results compound over time.
Right. But the good news is the same principle applies to good habits.
Totally. If you start making good choices consistently, like working out regularly or eating healthy, you'll eventually create those positive grooves in your brain.
Yeah, and those good habits will lead to positive results that compound over time.
So it's not just about making good choices in the moment. It's about making them consistently enough that they become ingrained habits.
So what are some tips for breaking bad habits and building good ones? Because, we all have those bad habits we want to get rid of and those good habits we want to develop, but it's not always easy, right?
Yeah, definitely. It takes effort and commitment, but there are some things you can do to make it easier. One thing that the book talks about is the importance of starting small.
Okay.
It's easy to get overwhelmed when you're trying to change your habits, especially if you're trying to make big changes all at once.
Right, like trying to go from couch potato to marathon runner overnight.
Exactly. It's probably not going to happen. So instead, focus on making small incremental changes that you can stick with over time.
Like instead of saying, I'm going to work out for an hour every day, maybe you start with just 15 minutes 3 times a week.
Yeah, and then gradually increase the duration and frequency as you get stronger and more consistent.
And I think it's important to be patient with yourself, too, because building new habits takes time.
Oh, absolutely. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, you're not going to see results immediately, and that can be discouraging.
Right. It's easy to give up when you don't see progress right away.
But that's why it's so important to focus on the process and trust that the results will come.
And remember that even small improvements can compound over time.
Okay, so we've talked about choices and habits now. Let's talk about another interesting concept that the book discusses, which is luck.
Okay, yeah.
So a lot of people think that success is all about luck, right? Like some people are just lucky and others aren't.
Right. You hear people say, oh, they were just in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, but the compound effect offers a different perspective. It argues that luck isn't just random chance. It's something that we can create through our actions.
Interesting. So it's more like we're making our own luck.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the book actually breaks down luck into a formula.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's preparation plus attitude plus opportunity plus action equals luck.
Okay, so it's not just about being lucky, it's about putting ourselves in a position to be lucky.
Exactly. So preparation means being prepared for when opportunities arise.
Like constantly honing your skills and knowledge so you're ready to seize the moment.
Yeah, attitude is about having a positive and optimistic mindset.
Because if you're always expecting the worst, you're probably going to miss out on opportunities that come your way.
Right. And then opportunity is about being aware of the opportunities that exist around you.
Which might require you to step outside of your comfort zone and network with people or try new things.
Yeah, and then action is about actually taking action when those opportunities arise.
Because you can be prepared, have the right attitude, and even see the opportunity. But if you don't do anything about it, nothing's going to happen.
So luck isn't about passively waiting for good things to happen. It's about actively creating those good things.
Yeah, it's like that quote, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity.
Exactly. So how do we tie all of these concepts together? Choices, habits, luck. How do we use them to actually achieve our goals?
Well, the book provides a really helpful visual formula for this.
Okay.
It's you plus choice plus behavior plus habit plus compounded equals goals.
So you start with you.
Right, you're the foundation.
Then you make choices,
Those choices lead to behaviors.
which when repeated become habits.
And over time, the compound effect takes those habits and multiplies them.
That's how you achieve your goals.
Yeah, it's like building a house brick by brick.
You're the architect.
Your choices are the foundation.
Your behaviors are the bricks.
Consistent action makes them habits.
And the compound effect is what builds the house.
And your goal is that finished structure.
So we talked a lot about the external stuff, choices, habits, behaviors, but what about the internal stuff, like our mindset?
Yeah, that's a huge part of it too.
The book talks about the importance of feeding your mind with positive and empowering input.
Right, it's like garbage in, garbage out, but for your mind.
Exactly. If you're
Yeah.
constantly consuming negative content like news or social media,
Yeah.
it's going to affect your thinking and your mood.
But if you feed your mind with inspiring and educational content like books, podcasts, or conversations with interesting people,
You're going to be much more likely to make positive choices and take action towards your goals.
so it's important to be mindful of what you're consuming, both physically and mentally.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but before we wrap up, there's one more important concept I want to touch on.
Okay, what's that?
The why.
Ah, yes, the why.
The book emphasizes the importance of having a strong why for any goal you want to achieve.
Yeah, because without a why, it's easy to lose motivation and give up.
Exactly. It's like if you're trying to lose weight, but your only reason is because you want to look good in a bathing suit.
You're probably not going to stick with it when things get tough.
Right. But if you have a deeper why, like you want to be healthy so you can play with your kids or grandkids, or you want to live a long and active life,
That's going to give you the motivation you need to keep going, even when you don't feel like it.
so take some time to really think about your why for your goals.
Write it down. Visualize it. Connect with it on an emotional level.
Because that why is going to be your fuel when you're running low on motivation.
It's the thing that's going to remind you why you're doing all of this in the first place.
So to wrap things up, we've learned that success isn't about some magic formula or overnight transformation.
It's about making consistent choices, developing positive habits, and understanding that small actions taken consistently over time can lead to remarkable results.
It's about creating our own luck
Hmm.
by being prepared, having the right attitude, and taking action when opportunities present themselves.
And it's about feeding our minds with positive input and connecting with a strong why that will fuel our journey.
So we challenge you to pick one small action that aligns with your goals and your why.
And commit to doing it consistently starting today.
Because remember, even the smallest actions, when compounded over time, can create extraordinary outcomes.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
And we'll see you next time.
See ya!